Hi all, in this video we will try to understand what happens if a planet is in the degrees from 0 to 5 or 25 to 30 degrees. So whenever a planet is present in the degrees 0 to 5, it is called as a planet in infancy, or in Sanskrit we say Balyavastha. So a planet in Balyavastha. And whenever a planet is in 25 to 30 degrees, then we say the planet in old age, or in Sanskrit we say a planet in Vruddhavastha, or Vruddhapyavastha. That means the planet is in old age. So whenever a planet is in between 5 to 25 degrees, then it is young and energetic. But whenever a planet is in infancy or old age, it becomes a bit weak. So weak. So what do you mean by a weak planet? So whenever a planet is in weak state, it cannot perform its significations. It cannot fulfill its significations completely. What do you mean by that? So every planet has some significations, the natural significations and also significations by lordship. So first we will see what are the natural significations. The natural significations are nothing but the significations that can be fulfilled by the planet effortlessly or with less efforts. If you take the example of sun's natural capacity is giving you the status, the social status, giving you health, father support. Also, your digestion system depends upon sun. Your health depends upon sun. That is a sun's natural capacity. Sun is the significator of job. Also, sun is the significator of the royal status, the government job also. A job in the government. A very great job, higher authoritative job in the government. That is also sun. That depends upon the sun's strength. So these are the natural significations of sun. And what about the significations of a particular planet by its lordship? Let's take Virgo ascendant. For Virgo ascendant, sun is a malefic planet because it is the lord of the 12th house. Right? So sun's natural significations we discussed. Now let's take Virgo ascendant, and now there are some special significations for sun. Sun is the lord of these significations, the 12th house significations. What are the 12th house significations? It represents the seclusion, hospitalization, the seclusion, hospitalization, interest in occult sciences, and also expenses. The 12th house is famously called as the house of losses. Also, 12th house represents happiness from your spouse. So whenever a person's married life is to be checked, we generally check the second house because it represents the family, the fourth house, the domestic life, and also the seventh house because that represents the relationships, and also the eighth house because that represents the bonding of, that means how much long the bond can be sustained. That can be represented by 8th house. And also we see the 12th house because that represents the happiness from spouse. Right? So here Sun is the lord of the 12th house. So he is also signifying here, he is the representation of the losses, the happiness from spouse, the bed pleasures, and the seclusion, interest in occult sciences and spirituality. Right? So Sun is also giver of this. He tries to give these things. These are called as the specific significations of Sun. So specific significations of Sun by lordship for Virgo ascendant. And if you take the Cancer ascendant, Sun represents the lord of the 2nd house. So 2nd house represents your speech, your family, and also your income. Right? So Sun is good here. He is a benefic planet. So what are the natural significations of Sun? He is the giver of health. He is the giver of father support and the digestion system. Also your social status. All these things. That is the natural capacity. And here Sun for Cancer ascendant, the specific significations are by the lordship of 2nd house, which signifies speech, family, income, the throat, and everything. So Sun is very much comfortable here, means he is able to give these things very easily because that is up to its natural capacity also. Right? So you can think in these lines. So it's the natural capacity of Sun. So he is able to give that. Right? But now, for the same Cancer ascendant, if Sun is placed somewhere, we'll talk about the placements in some other video, but Sun is from 0 to 5 degree, his degrees are 0 to 5 or 5 to 25, then Sun becomes weak. That means he is not able to perform the natural significations and also the significations by lordship. He cannot be able to perform them completely. Right? He cannot be able to perform them completely because he is weak. So whenever a planet is weak, it cannot perform its duties. And one more example I am giving you. Let's take the same Cancer ascendant. Right? So for Cancer ascendant, what about Venus? Venus is the lord of the 4th house and also as the lord of the 8th house, if you observe. Now the question is, should I take the lordship of 4th house or 8th house for Venus in the case of Cancer ascendant? That is a question. The answer for that question is, you need to take the lordship of 4th house, not the 8th house for Cancer ascendant. Why? Because Venus owns the 2 signs, Taurus and Libra. But which is the Mula Trikona house of Venus? The Mula Trikona house of Venus is Libra. What is the meaning of Mula Trikona house? Mula Trikona house is nothing but the duty performing house. Means a planet is present because a planet is present in your birth horoscope to perform its duties. That is the first and foremost thing it has to do. Right? So Venus, the lord of 4th house, that is Libra for Cancer ascendant, always tries to fulfill the duties of this particular 4th house, that is the Libra. Means Venus is a functionally benefic planet for Cancer ascendant. Right? Now, so what are the natural significations of Venus? Venus gives you good relationships, good house, wealth, also some celebrations at home. It gives you very nice food, it gives you ornaments, perfumes, right? The beautiful relationships, all these things represent Venus. Gives very nice, very good family happiness, or whatever. You are really overwhelmed with a beautiful Venus energy. Gives you very nice relationship with your spouse and everybody in your life. That is Venus. So for Cancer ascendant, Venus is very important here, right? It is the most functionally benefic planet, you can say. Those are the natural significations. I told you just now, the buildings, the houses, the wealth, relationships, sweets, perfume, food, all those things. Now we talk about the specific significations of Venus in the case of Cancer ascendant. Specific significations are: it has the lordship of fourth house. Fourth house is nothing but Sukhasthana, is a house of happiness, is a domestic happiness. It represents mother, your mind. It represents the real estate matters, mainly the lands and vehicles, right? So the fourth house represents all this stuff. So as this fourth house represents all these things, who is taking the lordship? Who is going to perform all these duties for Cancer ascendant? Venus is going to perform all these things, right? For Venus, it would be very easy also, especially in the fourth house. If you observe, a fourth house matters are, uh, we discussed, right? The mother, the happiness, the Sukhasthana. It is the Sukhasthana. It's a house of happiness. It represents mother. It represents vehicles, lands, and also it represents your +1 and +2 education. After SSC, means after 10th standard, you have +1 and +2. That also represented by fourth house, right? So all the fourth house matters. Who is going to take the responsibility here? Venus, because that fourth house, Libra, happened to be the Mula Trikona house, means the duty performing house of Venus. So here Venus is going to take the responsibility of the fourth house matters, and also Venus is the significator of its general, the natural significations we discussed: the house, the wealth, good relationships, sweets, food, ornaments, perfumes, and everything, celebrations at home, all this stuff, right? So now Venus is able to perform these tasks or not? The Mula Trikona house, how many means he Venus is able to provide you all these things, right? He must be able to perform the land, giving you some lands and vehicles. Also the fourth house is it represents your mother, so your relationship with your mother, he can make your relationship with your mother better. All these things better if and only if this particular Venus is having good strength in your horoscope. For Cancer ascendant I'm talking about here, right? So if this particular Venus is falling in between 0 to 5 degree or 25 to 30 degree, then it becomes weaker, means it cannot perform its significations very well. It can perform, of course, to an extent, but it cannot perform it excellently, you can say. Also we need to check, of course, if there are any afflictions for this particular Venus or not. Affliction is nothing but any conjunction or aspect by a functionally malefic planet. So for Cancer ascendant, who is the most malefic? What are the malefic planets for Cancer ascendant? For Cancer ascendant, Saturn is the primary functionally malefic planet, and Jupiter is the functionally malefic planet, right? Only these two are the functionally malefic planets, main functionally malefic planets. Of course, Rahu and Ketu are functionally malefic for any ascendant, and the functional maleficity of Rahu and Ketu would be decreased based on the sign of placement, based on the house of placement, based on the benefic aspects they are going to get, right? It's complete, Rahu and Ketu are completely those are the shadow planets and they play main role, of course the vital role. Their things are different. But if you observe the main functional malefic planets for Cancer ascendant, you can clearly see as the primary one is Saturn and the secondary one is Jupiter. These two are the functionally malefic planets for Cancer ascendant. Now, if this Jupiter or Saturn is in conjunction or is having an aspect on this particular functionally benefic Venus, then the Venus strength would be decreased even more. It becomes even more weaker because Venus is already from 0 to 5 and or 0 to 5 or 25 to 30 degrees in our example, right? So this is how we can assess the strength of a planet. So whenever the subperiods of that particular planet comes, you will feel that impact, right? So whenever a planet is in between 0 to 5 degrees or 25 to 30 degrees, it becomes weaker. And if there is any functionally malefic conjunction or aspect on that particular weaker planet, it becomes even more weaker because it is afflicted, right? So this is how we can assess the strength of a planet. Thanks for watching my video.